Alrighty, so if you listen to the first episode of this year, episode number 372, in that episode, I gave you some tips to set and achieve your smart poker goals this year. In that episode, I actually outlined one of my own goals, and that was playing a certain number of hands in the first 2 months, January and February. Now, my goals at that time were 2,000 hands in January, 3,000 hands in February. And the reason why I had set that goal is because in 2021, I played hardly any poker at all. All of my time was focused around creating new courses and creating content for Smart Poker Study and the Poker Forge. I had to get back to my old playing style, playing between 2 to 4,000 hands per month, but then making some decent money and also improving my skills because as I get better at poker, I'm able to teach you even more, right? So, I'm looking at my results on the computer right now in PokerTracker 4. I play on two different sites. I'm Hero on Ignition and I also play on America's Card Room. And on these two sites combined, I played 5,053 hands this year. Things are looking pretty good. I hit my goal, 2,000 hands January, 3,000 hands February. But if we look at the results, and results aren't the end all be all. I mean, you always want to be profitable. But I'm not really judging these past 2 months on results. If we look at results, I was $8.46 up on Ignition, but down $14.74 on America's Card Room. So altogether, $6 down. Now, I played 10 NL and 25 NL, so $10 buy-in, $25 buy-in. $6 down is nothing. It's almost like break even for the 5,000 hands, right? So I'm not upset about the results. I'm okay with these results for sure. Break even play is totally fine. But I'm really upset with my style of play and how I approached each one of my sessions. If we take a look at my graph in PokerTracker 4 on Ignition, you can see in the first month in January, I hit a downswing and I started to get back up and I was almost even. Then when February hit, I had a few really good sessions right at the beginning, and then through the rest of the month, bam, made money. But then somewhere around mid-month, I started playing C game poker every single session, right? And my results took a gradual dip down to being up, $8 or so for the month. If we take a look at my ACR play, we will see the same kind of trend. Not the same kind of, I was down the whole way. I would go down the first 500 hands, up a bit to break even, down again, up to almost break even, down again, and just steady that downward progression all the way to $15. And especially towards the end of the month or mid-month of February, just like on Ignition, I was just playing crappy C game poker. And I decided to take some time and analyze what was going on. Why was my mindset, why was I not in the right place to play A game, profitable, smart, good decision-making, hand-reading kind of poker? Well, here are the mistakes I made, especially in February. Out of all the sessions I played in February, I did not do a single warm-up. I turned on the poker software. In PokerTracker 4, I hit get hands while playing. I opened up the 4 tables and bam, started playing. No warm-up, just jumped right into it. And I find that when I do not warm up, I am more likely to play C game, not A game poker. So that was the first mistake. Second mistake was no in-game focus. Not once in February I did not choose a single focus in February. There wasn't a day when I said, I'm going to work on my 3-bet bluffing today. I'm going to work on my C-betting today. I'm going to work on my pre-flop sizing and test out different sizing. No plans, no focus whatsoever. Like I said, I just fired up the tables and started playing. Again, I feel that I play better, and I think my mind is working more when I have some kind of strategy to focus on something that I'm working on, something I'm trying to improve. And so I need to do that moving forward. Alcohol. Now, I like whiskey and I like beer. Sometimes after dinner at night, my wife might be watching her show on Netflix and I'm not really interested. I might have already had 1 or 2 beers, or maybe I'll pop open a beer while I start playing some poker. And I just find that with alcohol, my mistakes are terrible. I'm calling with hands that I shouldn't be calling. I'm raising at times. I'm 3-betting, not paying attention to stack sizes, not thinking about the board and how my opponent's range might interact with it. I just play my 2 hole cards and the board. Right? Just making so many mistakes with alcohol. So I'm going to correct that for March. The last thing, and I already mentioned to it, or I already kind of mentioned it, I would just fire up 4 tables right away because the goal was to hit that 3,000 hands. And with my limited amount of time that I allow myself to play poker, I had to play 4 tables at a time to hit that 3,000 hands in February. Same thing in January with 2,000 hands. As you can see, I had an entire 2 months to play and I hit 5,053 hands. I barely broke or I barely hit my goal, right? So that's the thing, forcing multi-tables. So what I'm going to be doing for March, I'm going to get back to basics with these 5 things. The first is every day before I play my session, I'm going to force myself to do a warm-up. Now, the warm-up that I'm going to choose to do, twofold warm-up. Number one is I'm going to do a hand reading exercise for a hand where I lost money and it got to showdown. So I'm going to whip out Flopzilla Pro, assign my opponent a range, narrow that range through the streets with the whole intention of learning from any mistakes I might have made, but at the same time, just prepping my mind, priming my mind for a game play in the session that's about to start, right? So that's number one, warm up with hand reading. Oh, the second part of my warm up is choosing a focus for the session. Earlier, I mentioned 3-bet bluffing, testing different bet sizes pre-flop, maybe testing post-flop sizes, donk betting maybe could be a focus, check raising as a bluff. Whatever my focus is, I need to decide on one, and I am going to use a tick sheet. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I will show you what a tick sheet looks like in just a second. But in order to keep track of my tick sheet use, I'm going to have a notebook that I'm just going to draw all the tick sheets out, and for the entire month of March, they're going to be in there so I can refer back to them and just kind of like have a representation, just tracking my actual use of tick sheets in game. And I might actually use this for my warm-up tracking just in general, and then write the hand that I did my hand reading exercise with as well, so that it's on there. Because when you force yourself to write stuff down and keep track of them, I think you're more likely, at least me, I am more likely to get stuff done when there's like a permanent record of it, you know? The third thing I'm going to do is I am going to start with 2 tables for at least 15 minutes. Start playing, see how my decisions are, see if I'm thinking through each spot, see if I put my opponent, like visualize their range of hands, look at their HUD stats, look at stack sizes and pot sizes. As long as I'm playing A-game poker, I'll add a 3rd and a 4th table. If not, I'll either end the session if I just can't get to A-game, or if I just feel comfortable playing 2, I'll just continue playing 2. Now, part of that is instead of having a hand playing goal for March, I'm going to have an hours goal. My goal is to play 3 hours per week for all of March. With ultimately, I would love to be able to play, not be able to, but I would love to play 12 to 15 hours in March, which means roughly 3 hours per week on average. And the reason why I have this goal as opposed to the hands played goal is because now I can allow myself, if my goal is today, just play for 1 hour, I'm fine. I can allow myself to just play 2 tables, not try to fit in more tables to get more hands. And that hourly goal, I'm going to see how that works for me in March. I've tried it in months in the past, and I really like the hourly goal. For January and February, I got away from that. Wanted to play 5,000 hands total, but let's see how many hands I can play in A-game mode with an hourly goal for March. Now, the 5th thing that I'm doing is I'm going to have my KISS cash game ranges in hand. You can see on YouTube in the video, you can see I have them laminated, as you can hear in the podcast here. Now, I don't use these all the time, and I really don't need the tick sheets, but here's the thing. I realized, especially towards the last 2 weeks of February, I was making really bad calls and really bad 3-bets. And I would notice sometimes that I just clicked call in the big blind holding Jack 6 suited. Now, if you do it against the right opponent and you know how to exploit them post-flop, great. But I found myself just calling because, ooh, it's suited. Maybe I can hit a flush draw and then check raise bluff him, hit my flush on the turn, and then get value. You know, like things like that were going through my mind. So having the KISS ranges in front of me, at least if I notice I'm deviating from the ranges, I can actually think about it and why did I make that call? Was that a logical call because I knew how to exploit my opponent? Or was I just playing hopeful calling poker? You know, the kind of poker that I try to teach my students to not play. And I was actually succumbing to that at the end of February. So those are my 5 things. Once again, let me just refresh them real quick. or run through them. Number one is do warm up with hand reading exercise pre-session. Number two is to use a tick sheet with every session that I play and decide on the focus ahead of time. Start with 2 tables and then add more if I'm in A game mindset. Have my ranges in hand and play with the goal of 3 hours or more per week. Now, to help you out, I actually went through and just took a look at some of my old podcast episodes. If you want additional information on warm-ups, all you got to do is go to smartpokerstudy.com/pod236. And let me show you what that looks like real quick. Once you go here, you'll find the episode title is called Bankroll Rules and Warm-Ups. About 10 minutes down, about halfway through the page, you'll see all my information on warm-ups. This is the kind of stuff that I teach my students to do to help them warm up. Now, if you want more information on tick sheets, go to smartpokerstudy.com/pod265. When you go there, you'll see an example of a tick sheet. This tick sheet is going to help you work on c-betting. So you have 3 different columns: bluff c-bet, value c-bet, and then fail to c-bet, or just check, basically is what that means. So when you have your c-betting opportunity, which, because you're the pre-flop raiser, you should have a ton of c-betting opportunities. Before you click to bet or check, you've got to think to yourself, okay, why am I c-betting? Is it a bluff? Is it a value c-bet? And whichever one that is, tick or make a tick under that column and then click the button to make your c-bet. And if you're not going to c-bet, you think it's a bad opportunity to, you can't get them to fold, your hand is way too strong, you flopped quads and you want to slow play it, then, click fail or put a check mark under fail to c-bet and then click check on your game. So that's what tick sheets are. And if you want additional information on using the KISS cash game ranges and to download them for yourself, go to smartpokerstudy.com/pod344. About midway down the page, you'll see a little section right here where you can get the KISS cash game ranges absolutely free. All right. Thank you so much for watching the video. I appreciate it. For those of you listening to the podcast, thank you very much for listening. Now you've got your own marching orders. So actually, let me give you a challenge right now. This is what I'm doing in March to get back to basics, to try to get back to my A game winning ways. I want you to do the same. You don't have to do these exact same 5 things that I have here, but figure out what you're doing wrong, if anything, currently. Are you not warming up? Are you playing distracted? Are you watching ESPN while you play poker? Are you, drinking 3 beers before you play? Whatever the issue is that's keeping you from A game mindset, make a goal for the month of March in 2022 and beyond, of course, to get beyond that, get back to basics, and get back to your A game winning ways. Alrighty, thank you very much. I'll see you in the next one.